I'm Ben Campen. Some of the things that meant a lot to me in my life, always gave it my best effort. That's something I learned as a child, and I relearned it, if you would, at Paris Island when I went in the Marine Corps. You give it your best, and it'll come out okay if you give it your best. And I was grateful that it did. Rotary came into my life in 1987. A friend of mine called me and said, "You want to go to lunch with me tomorrow?" And I said, "Sure." And little did I know he was taking me to a Rotary meeting. And we went to the Rotary meeting, and I was just blown away with all the people that were at Rotary, significant members of the community. And I said, this is really quite something. I had heard of Rotary, but just the name, not what it really meant. And so he asked me if I'd like to come back and go to Rotary again next week. I said, sure. Then he asked me if I'd like to join. I said, sure.
Good.
And I became a knife and forker for a number of years because I was busy with my business, and I didn't think about getting involved in projects like I later decided to do. But I became a Paul Harris Fellow right after I joined Rotary. But as far as being really involved, that came about in about the year 2000. I went on a mission trip to Honduras with a group of Rotarians, and we built some houses for some hurricane victims there. And then a couple years later, a group of us went back, and my son went with me on that trip, which was twofold for me because I enjoyed going there and helping the people there, and also working with my son meant a lot to me. And he enjoyed it. And then shortly after that, the hurricanes, 3 or 4 of them hit Florida, this area, and so forth. And I said, I want to do something to help the people in need. And I'm thinking, I'm so blessed to be able to do some things like that, to help people. And while it could be conceived that I did something to them, they did something for me. They did a lot for me, by giving me a good feeling of helping others. And that really charges my battery. Well, it blessed my life so much to be able to do that. I turned the TV on, and I heard about the tsunami that hit Southeast Asia. And I said, I want to go over and help those people. I want to do something to be of benefit to them. They've experienced real devastation over there. And I saw a report where this young boy was telling the reporter about how he survived this train being knocked off the tracks by the tsunami. And he got up in the corner of the box of the car and found a little pocket of air where he could breathe for a while until the water rescinded. And he survived, obviously. And it just hit me, I want to go there and do something to help him. I decided I'd stay over in Thailand. So I flew back down to southern Thailand to Phuket, where it had been hit really hard. And I checked in a hotel there. When I checked in, I said, well, tonight I can go to a Rotary meeting. So I went to the Rotary meeting, and they were interested in what I was doing there, and I said, can you see what I can do to help? I met Beach Eye in the lobby, and we had a nice conversation, and he invited me to go on his bus, his van, if you would. And so we toured the area, And we met with some government officials, and they were making plans, Beach I was, with the government officials about where to build this Rotary village for these tsunami victims. So I told Beach I that I would go back home and see what I could do to raise some money to help Ford to build these houses. He said, it's great. And I said, well, I want to come back with my son and maybe some others to help physically build the houses. He said, that's not, you don't need to do that. I said, well, we'd like to do that. He said, well, that isn't the way we really do it over here. I said, well, we're used to that, and we would like to do that physically, invest some labor, some blood, sweat, and tears, as well as money. So he said, whatever works. He said, do you have to fly back to Gainesville tomorrow? I said, well, I don't necessarily have to go back tomorrow. Why? He said, well, while you're over here, you should go to Sri Lanka. I'll make the contact for you if you'll go. I said, well, I'd love to go. Well, so I did the next day. I flew over to Sri Lanka and went to a Rotary meeting, met the district governor over there. And anyway, I was chauffeured around the island, saw the devastated areas. And when we would see people beside the road that were just shifting. And then we were driving along, we came around this bend in the road and looked over there, and there's this train that had been knocked off the tracks that I had seen on TV that was the impetus
amazing
for me to move me. And the hair stood up on the back of my head, and I go, this is wow, how it worked out and how I do it now.